listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
So tell me. Well, hey there. Welcome back. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I typically use those 5 words to start every podcast. Well, hey there, comma, welcome back. Kind of like it. It's just become my thing. But you may also know that when I use one of my interviews that I sprinkle deliciously, like so many jimmies across the top of a donut, I start them differently. And that's what I want to talk about today because it's such a powerful thing. It's also something I just kind of came up with out of nowhere. I said it to sort of the first person I interviewed. And then I said it to the second, and I said it to the third. And I thought, wait, this is sort of universally applicable. Which are fun words to write out, because that's a lot of syllables. And what do I say? Come on. I say, so, tell us who you are and what you do. Right? So here's the reason I do that is because I think those are 2 separate things. They could be 2 things in one. They could be one and the same, as you would say, but I think sometimes they're very separate things. I look at myself, my persona, my life, and I'm a lot of things, and being introduced as just one of them is sort of disingenuous. And just being introduced, hey, it's Mark. Oh, okay, who's Mark? Well, let me tell you who I am and what I do. I mean, those are 2 very interesting answers. So I think we tend to get to know people sometimes as the persona of the person, and we also get to know people as their job. Oh, the printer guy is here. We don't know what his name is. We don't care what his hobbies are. The printer guy's here, right? I mean, we think there are whole fields like that, like a fireman and a police officer. And don't make fun of the way I just said fireman. Sorry. It's acceptable to slur the second part of that word. But typically when people have very strong jobs, who you are, what you do. So when people have a very strong what you do, we typically think of them as the what you do person, right? If you're in a job where you have contact with clients, you're B2B, so you're business to business or what have you, or even you're B2C, so you're a business to consumers. I mean, either or. You may end up getting to know people in one way or the other. So if you just deal with standard Joe Schmo consumer, and I don't say that disrespectfully, I mean, this is what our brains do to catalog things, right? Oh, I had like 10 clients today. Oh, 5 customers today. Oh, well, what were all their names and hobbies? Oh, I don't know. Why would I know that? So Joe Schmo customer, see? If you deal with customers, it's going to be basically customer number 57261, or it's going to be, Ferguson, Mary Ann, right? That's all you know. And why would you know more than that? But when you're in business for a while, and the thing that sometimes separates you from your competitor is that you do know that Mary Ann kind of has a thing about her name. She always wants it to be 2 separate words, and a lot of companies put it down as one, and it really annoys her. Who would have thunk it, right? But you know that. Or you know that Mary Ann doesn't have a cat. She desperately wants one, but her boyfriend is allergic. Right? Not useful in business? Maybe, maybe not. It does set you apart, and it also shows that Mary Ann is a person. That's who she is. What she does, basically, is she is your customer. So the what she does answer to people, if you are B2C, is basically everyone is your customer, right? The what they do can also come into play if you are providing a service or a thing to them, and it fits them a little bit differently. Now, let's use an ISP, for example, because my ISP, my internet service provider, likes to send me 4 or 5 pieces of snail mail every week, and then give me like 17 emails. They have no clue what my actual needs are. They have no clue who I am. They have no clue whether I need a lot of bandwidth or not, right? If they knew who I was and what I did, they would focus on providing me with a very solid internet connection with a lot of bandwidth, that I'm a home office kind of person, and I use the heck out of the internet for all of the things that I do. Creating large files, uploading and downloading large files, connecting to other systems, doing video calls, all that stuff. Who I am and what I do would become very important to the product they're selling me. It's the same for B2B. I mean, if you're a business and you're contacting other businesses, obviously, when you find that niche that you connect to, I don't like saying niche, don't make me say that. It reminds me of microfiche. That's a weird word too. Anyway, the people that you connect with as a business to business also are a who you are and what you do, aren't they? I mean, the what you do is important because if you find that your business connects the best to manufacturing, for example, the what you do becomes very important. Well, we connect with the what you do's that are of this class, and then we do the best with manufacturing, then we do pretty well with this. Government contracts would be great, blah, 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 right? If you're selling financial services, I'm sure that applies to you. In fact, I don't think if there is any job that you have that when you connect to people, it isn't important that you know who they are and what they do. Even if you have a contract with Walmart in which you sell, 800,000 of this thing that you make, and it's still important because it may affect how you sell to Walmart. It may affect that you're even in Walmart versus Target versus, Bed Bath & Beyond and so on and so forth. So now that we've said the importance of all that and how important that is to you, let's turn the spotlight on ourselves. Have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you ever introduced yourself that way? I mean, imagine if this podcast starts a crazy viral thing in which everyone just starts introducing themselves as who they are and what they do. Can you imagine a networking event in which people do that? Because the standard networking event is people have a badge, and the who they are is simply their name, right? John Smith, Mary Ferguson, da-da-da-da-da. So what do you do, Mary? Oh, well, let me give you my elevator speech, which is completely devoid of personality. Not that Mary doesn't have a personality, but an elevator speech is intentionally devoid of any extra stuff. It's an elevator speech. It's 30 seconds. It's supposed to be hard-hitting, and here's the stuff I do. But that sucks. Sorry. I know that's not the common wisdom, but an elevator speech just sucks. Because one of the biggest reasons I might do business with you is because of who you are. I mean, if you're selling a fungible service like 17 other people are, I don't care about your elevator speech because it's going to be essentially the same. 90% of it's going to be the same as all the other people who do the same thing. But if you're really a nice person, or the whole reason you're selling this is unique or different or heartwarming, and you're filled with empathy, or you get my product or service or me, well, then I'm probably going to do business with you instead of the other people. But there's no way for me to know that because your elevator speech won't tell me who you are. So now do you see the importance of that? I hope so. So let's turn the spotlight on you. Tell me who you are and what you do. And since we both don't want to talk at the same time, let's use one of my classic, patented, trademarked, registered pauses. Okay? Let's do that. Let's pause it right now. And once you pause it, I want you to think to yourself who you are and what you do. If you were on my podcast or I sat there and you were trapped against the wall, I sat down for coffee and I said, "Hi there, I'm Mark. How you doing? Tell me who you are and what you do." Ready? Go. Hey, thanks for doing that. If you didn't do that, then you just sort of sat there while like it was paused or it wasn't paused and you just heard dead air and you're like, what is this? What happened? Is it over? You were supposed to pause it then. If you didn't, pause it now. Okay. So more likely than not, when you asked yourself who you are, you were like, oh, state your name. No, it's not about your name. I mean, it starts with your name. You give your name and then you sort of say who you are. Like who are you? I mean, we're practically on the 10-minute mark, and that is enough to have a whole podcast on, isn't it? Who you are. I mean, that's a big deal, right? I mean, we can get really philosophical and really metaphysical here. Who are you? Who are you? I think it's important. I mean, if part of this exercise you literally went into your bathroom and you looked into the mirror and said, "Who are you?" and you looked in your eyes and you tried to answer it, holy man, right? I mean, that's some pretty crazy Sunday morning crap, right? Who are you? When was the last time you asked yourself that? When was the last time someone looked in your eyes and said that? It's probably when you did something amazing, or you did something that they thought was out of character, or that you weren't capable of doing. I'm only laughing because the last time that happened to me was a very interesting situation. It was a very positive situation, but one I can't actually repeat in mixed company. But who are you is a huge, huge question. And I know it's a philosophical one that has haunted us for the ages and this and that. And it harkens back to, are we good people with negative tendencies? Are we negative people with good tendencies? Let's not go there. Let's just, let's just look at you, Mike or Karen or Bill. Just look in the mirror and ask yourself that, because this is not a question you can get away from. This is not a question that you can just go, because it's going to be in your brain and it's going to be asking you. Because if you do not answer it now, it's going to haunt you until you answer it. I will guarantee you that. If you're a human being, I will guarantee you that now that you heard me say this over and over again, and if you've said it in your brain at least once, you're going to have to answer that. It's probably going to be part of the homework, so you probably should do it. So I had someone on the show and that I asked both questions, and he was the only person who I think he tried to be really goofy and silly about it. And I just did the best I could to kind of ride that out. But I could tell that he wasn't able and capable of dropping the shields for some strange guy asking him that question in a audio only conversation and truly like answering it, because it would have been great to learn a little bit more. But as it turned out during the podcast, a lot of things were revealed. But it really is an interesting question. And I know you think I'm beating a dead horse, and I'm not, because it just really is. It's a fascinating thing. I'm far more interested in that answer of everyone and anyone than you probably are. You're probably only interested in that question for yourself or perhaps like your loved ones. I wouldn't necessarily suggest cornering one of your loved ones and saying, "Who are you? Tell me who you are." I mean, I would strongly suggest you have them listen to this podcast first before you do that, not afterwards, because it can be quite jarring. So now that we've talked that to death, we move on to the second part, which is what you do. And as I've said in a number of podcasts, the job, career, or calling, or the congratulations you're bored, or many others, what you do is really a big deal. And it's really a little deal, depending on how you process it. And like I've said in those aforementioned podcasts, you can be doing a job and it's just your means to an end. It's the way that you get a bunch of cash so that you can then fund the things that are important to you. You know, you're happy to have your business. You're happy to show up for work. You're happy to take your paycheck home, but it's just a paycheck. You don't live and die for that business. You get the resources from them. Oh, geez. We almost made it this far, and I didn't mention time, energy, and resources. Oh, so you get your resources, and then it allows you to spend those resources in your real time and get energy back from the other things. The stuff that really makes you whole, the stuff that makes you you. So clearly there's an intimate connection between who you are and what you do, even though there's the dichotomy of who you are and what you do can be two very different things. So, as you've noticed, I've been breaking my 10-minute rule lately because I just want you to hear me out on certain things. And this is one of them. So this is a 15-minute one. So I apologize for it being 15 minutes of your time rather than 10. If you want, and if you consider this to be fun, and you thought, wow, this made me think, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love for you to send me an email, connect with me on Instagram or what have you, even connect with me on LinkedIn and literally send me a message on LinkedIn and say, hi, Mark, this is who I am and what I do. Thanks. And take care. Hey there, thanks for listening. I always appreciate your feedback. I really, really do. Wanted to let you know that the Sword in the Sunflower audiobook won as Best New Author for 2020. My podcast is available wherever you consume podcasts, and my books are available on Amazon. Take care.